Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Let's talk some Godzilla. So, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This was one of my most anticipated films of the year. I was really excited for it because, as far as directing goes, you got Michael Dougherty, which definitely one of my favorite directors. He did Trick or Treat, which is one of my favorite horror films. He also did Krampus. So I was really excited to see what he could do with a Godzilla film, just because he is really familiar with, other monsters, and obviously this is taking it to a whole nother scale, but definitely wanted to see what he could do. You also had Millie Bobby Brown, and then you also had Bear Farmiga in the film. So a pretty, decent cast as well. So this was, something. The trailers, they looked phenomenal, up to this point, minus the one trailer, and it's only because they used the song, but where they used LL Cool J, just didn't fit the trailer at all. But everything else has looked, amazing. So was really hyped to see this, and I will let you know, as a Godzilla fan, it definitely didn't let me down. So we'll go ahead and start off with the positive first, and then we'll jump into the negatives. So first thing, as far as the positives go, the biggest thing that I know a lot of people didn't like about the 2014 film is that, it didn't have as much Godzilla in there. There was a gradual buildup, and there was a little bit of him at the end, but for the most part, myself included, thought we were going to maybe see a little bit more of him in that movie, and we didn't. And you can tell for sure they definitely listened to the fans, because there is a way more Godzilla in this movie. So that's definitely the first plus for me here. Now, not only is there a ton of Godzilla, but the second thing is you get quite a few fights. You get fights between Godzilla and King Ghidorah, get a couple of those. You also have, you see him in the trailer. You see, Mothra, Rodan. There's a couple other creatures in there as well. And I haven't seen some of, I watched a bunch of the old Godzilla films when I was younger, but it's definitely been a long time. So some of the couple other creatures I didn't recognize, so I don't know if they just made them up for this film or not. But you get several, different creatures in this film, and they all look fantastic. Some of the shots, are going to make some great wallpapers for people out there. And some of especially one that I can think of off the top of my head was with King Ghidorah, and he's on top of this mountain or whatever, and he spreads his wings, and it's orange, and then there's a little cross in the front. That was a really cool shot. But there's tons of really cool looking shots. The creatures, interested to see what the budget for this film was. Haven't gotten a chance to look at that yet, but you can tell they definitely put, I would say, a good amount of money into it. Because the creatures look amazing, the fights are badass, and we get a good amount of them. So going into a Godzilla film, that was, especially where I was kind of disappointed last time, that was something I wanted to see a lot more of, and I can say that they definitely delivered on that end. I would also, to kind of tie into that too, I would say that, if you are, a Godzilla fan, or if this was just a movie that, had your interest, and because I do think it kind of has its specific audience, there's going to be some people that think, oh, it's just another stupid, monster movie, destroying cities and stuff like that. But if you are the crowd that you have even a little bit of interest in this film, I highly recommend you going to see this on the biggest screen possible. I saw this at the Jordan's IMAX, where, as you guys know, I see all of my big movies that come out throughout the year, and it was well worth it just to see these massive creatures on the big screen, and, all the action throughout the film. I think that's definitely the best way to see this kind of movie, so can't recommend that enough. Definitely check it out in IMAX. One other thing, too, I want to let you guys know, too, before we jump into the negatives of the film, they definitely do a lot of setting up for King Kong versus Godzilla, and I think that's coming out 2021. I don't think it's next year. I believe it's 2021, but they definitely do a lot of setting up. They mentioned Skull Island several times throughout the film, so it's not something that's very subtle or anything like that. They give you a pretty good idea of what's coming. And make sure that you stay, because there is a credit after the scenes as well. Now, as far as the negatives, so the big thing with me with this film was that you don't care about any of the human characters in the film. And I know a lot of a lot of the big critics and stuff, I think it only has it's like a 40 something on Rotten Tomatoes, so not very good as far as, that the scores go, but I see a lot of people complaining about the human characters completely ruin the film for them. And while myself watching the movie, when I'd say about 90% of the time when the human characters were on the screen, it was something that I was like, okay, I don't really care about this. Let's go ahead and, get to the next fight, or let's see some more of the monsters, because that's what I came, to a Godzilla film for. That's what I want. And like I said, I do believe it delivered on those, but the human characters you don't really care about. So I'd say that's just one of my negatives, but it's not as something as big as I feel like some of the critics are making out to be. So don't worry, you get plenty of Godzilla action, lots of different monsters, but that is a minor little negative for me. Now, and funny enough, the second thing that's a negative, so really actually doesn't have anything to do with the film. And this has actually been quite a while since I've had a bad movie-going experience. But so I saw this film. It was Thursday night, the premiere at Jordan's. And it was me and my girlfriend. And we sat down and we ended up having these 4 teenage boys next to us. Didn't look like they were even old enough to drive. So we were like, did you guys get dropped off by your parents? But man, those guys were really obnoxious. And, right from the get-go, they all brought in goldfish or whatever, snuck those into the movie. And just like before, they were making all these really stupid jokes and talking. And it's like, okay, whatever, as long as you shut up by the time the movie starts, that's fine. And they did to a degree, but the one kid in particular, he just kept, and I'm all for, when, it's an opening night and seeing a film and people are excited about a movie. But this kid would some of these moments, and they weren't even necessarily the biggest moments in the film, but this kid would just was screaming obnoxiously at the top of his lungs. And I was just like, what the hell? So definitely was kind of that affected the movie going appearance a little bit, and that has nothing to do with the film. But I haven't had that bad of a movie-going experience, I would say, in quite some time. So definitely unfortunate. I had to deal with that. But other than that, I had a lot of fun with the film. I would say that, again, if you are, a Godzilla fan, or, just someone looking for a fun summer blockbuster to go to, I think that you guys are really going to enjoy this. Lots of action, lots of really cool shots, monsters, and things like that. As far as a rating goes, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Definitely, like I said, go see it on the biggest screen possible. But yeah, if you have seen the film, go ahead down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of the film. I'm really curious to see. It seems like audiences really like this, and critics are the ones that don't really care for it. So curious to see what you guys think. Let me know down below. And also, what is your favorite Godzilla movie of all time? And if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as hit the bell button as well, so that way you get notifications for all my other videos. I did also just recently do my review for Brightburn, so check that out as well. And as always, guys, make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.